get warmed up and all that, I think it's really going to hit. We had a lot of emotions last game against Oregon State, so I think it'll hit later.
Obviously, there's been a lot of chaos, a lot of change in the last couple of weeks. How do you guys stay focused and stay motivated to go out there and play one more game for the student class?
I think just coming together. Like I said, we're a tight-knit group. We've been battling together all year. We've gone through a lot of ups and downs, so we kind of know how to handle it at this point.
Obviously, Coach Bobbit is someone that you guys have worked with all season and are super familiar with. What's it been like having him kind of take over ahead of this bowl game?
We all appreciate him a lot. We know he's kind of, doing this for us seniors, all the guys that, and the defensive guys. He's more tight with us just because D coordinator and all that. But no, we really appreciate him stepping up in this role and finishing out for us.
You have a reaction to Kirby Moore taking over this program? I know some of you are going to be watching from afar, but what's it like seeing new leadership for this team?
It's different. I've never really been in this spot, so it doesn't really affect me too much. But from what I've heard, he's a great guy, and I'm sure he'll do great things here.
What's the message for the underclassmen? I mean, as seniors, you want to talk about legacy. You probably got some inspiring words for them.
Right.
What do you say to them after what they've been through here this year?
I just at some point in their career, they might be in the position that I'm in. Right, last game, new coach. So even Bobbit said this to them, like, you're going to want those underclassmen to ride it out with you when you're a senior and give it all for you. So that's kind of been the message, and they've taken that to heart. And they've been out here week after week without a coach, still going. So really appreciate all those guys.
I better ask about Utah State. I mean, you got a game coming up in a week. So this is a future conference made of WSU.
Yeah.
How do you approach this game?
Approach it like any other game, but being that it will be a conference game next year, it's kind of the opening for that. But we're excited for it. It'll be fun.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks, Caleb.
Hey, Coach. I'm Caitlin.
Jesse.
Nice to meet you.
You mind coming right up to me? You good, Caitlin? Go for it.
All right. I'll get started here. Obviously, an interesting preparation week here for you guys, but how's the team handling getting ready for this bowl game?
There is an incredible spirit within the team. The guys, whatever team meeting it is or wherever it is in the building, there's music playing. The guys are enjoying it. They're rallying behind a message of we're doing this to finish the season with this group, and mostly, for the team themselves and the players, and being able to spend another week together and go get a win.
Had some process questions just in terms of the players allowed to play. Are the players in the portal? Are you giving them an opportunity to play in this bowl game?
There was a decision that if that happened, they would have the opportunity to play, yes.
Okay.
Now, obviously, the biggest thing about that is the portal is not open. So as much as guys are announcing that they're in the portal, whatever it is, it's not open. But we did leave that as if you'll be able to play in the bowl game.
Do you have a message for the team just about the staff? Everybody reads news clippings, and I'm sure your players aren't immune to any of that. What's your message to this team as there's certain to be some turnover here?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, a consistent message is that it's about the guys in the locker room. In this profession, not only can players come and go, coaches can come and go, and there is loyalty, there is, there's a commitment that takes to do this profession. So as much as things change from coaches to players, there is a commitment, there is a buy-in, there is a trust, there is a love for both the players and coaches to players. And so the message is we're doing this together to finish this off the right way. And most importantly, you guys are doing this for each other. I just got done talking about use this time. There's no school. Spend the time together. It's not just about practicing the games. You got all this time, and you never know what's going to happen in terms of people moving forward and what it will look like here. So take advantage of the time that you have with one another and enjoy it and have some fun finishing this thing out the right way.
There's a familiarity to this, I'm sure, for your senior class, who a year ago at this time, in fact, a familiarity for some of the people standing here as well. What have you seen from your senior leadership when it comes to messaging on this team?
I think one of the cool things was that when we had our first team meeting, when this went down about a week ago, and I went up to speak, I didn't have a ton to say. Biggest thing I had to say was that I look forward to finishing this thing out on the right note, and being here for you guys and giving you my best. And then the seniors took over from there, right? And they stood up, Coach, I want to talk, Coach, I want to talk, and the room erupted. There was a spirit and a fight that started from literally the instance that this came together, and it just shows the testament of the leadership on this team and a bunch of guys that have been through a lot. I talked about it this morning. Make adversity your partner in growth. And so through all of these things, you can still find joy, right? As non-joyful as maybe it can seem and the things that can happen and the change, you can still find joy in all of this. And so the joy really comes from the people and living out the time that you have with one another, and that's coaches included. And every coach is going to have their different journey moving forward, but at the end of the day, all of us need to enjoy being around each other. There's strong relationships and friendships that hopefully last forever.
Kind of along those lines, obviously I think Jimmy Rogers leaving kind of came as a shock to a lot of people in this program, especially a lot of fans outside the program. Mm-hmm. What was the process like of you stepping up to become interim head coach, and what's that going to look like moving forward to this bowl game?
Yeah, I think Jimmy, it was unexpected, right? We all planned on being here. When we came here a year ago, man, it was we were fired up, we were excited. There was nothing more we wanted, and that's just living in the moment, right? And things happened really fast, and when he found out, John Harlow came to me very shortly after and asked me to be the interim, and I said, without a doubt, I want to be here for these guys, not for me, not to have an interim tag, not to be able to try and go 1-0 as a head coach. It has nothing to do with that. It's to finish it off for these guys, and a lot of these guys have been coaching for a long time. There was guys that are seniors now that were freshmen at South Dakota State when I was coaching them, and the right thing to do, the thing that I wanted to do, was be here to finish this out the right way for these guys and go get a win.
You've been to the blue turf at WSU before?
I have not. I've always seen it from a distance, but it'll be a cool thing. I don't know if we're talking about it too much, but I know it'll be a cool deal.
You've been kind of linked to the co-DC job at Iowa State with Coach Rogers. What's kind of your plan for your future?
Yeah, I'll be honest, and I'll only really speak to my future is, I'm going to be going with as the DC. There's a lot of news out there. It is what it is. It has nothing to do with it. It'll just be a DC. It won't be co-DC. But at the end of the day, excited for that opportunity. It's what's best for myself, my wife, our family, and just the career moving forward. I had a lot of great conversations with people here, but I'm excited for that journey. But this ain't done yet, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to finish it off for these seniors and this team that I care about. This isn't easy. I think the biggest thing people talk about is they say, this is outside of football world. They look at you and go, man, that's a crazy life. And you're just like, yeah, it is what it is. But when you really sit down or you're in a moment like this, it's not easy either, no matter what your situation is. Whether I'm fortunate enough to go and have an opportunity to coach at that school in the position I am, I'm blessed, but it ain't easy. It's not easy, right? And there's been a lot of nights these last week and a half where I'm laying up at night and pretty emotional just about everything and the change. And as much as I am excited, I'm sad as well, just because there's a lot of relationships and this is a special place.
Did Jimmy call you at some point after taking that job to kind of offer you that position, or how did that all kind of go down?
Yeah, once everything happened really fast, I think it was on that Friday, and it really did just happen on that Friday when, things, obviously, and even us, right, you hear rumblings of what could happen maybe, and on social media, that's what we all look at, right? And I got the main source right next to me. Well, once things became official, he asked me what I wanted to do and what would I be open to. I shared with him my thoughts. I had a couple conversations with John Harlow and the staff here, and it made sense for me after some thought and a lot of conversations to take that next step and go with Coach Rogers.
You said that the players that are planning to enter the portal will be at least allowed to play in the bowl game. Do you know if those guys are planning to actually play, or what's that going to look like?
Yeah, if there's guys that aren't here at practice right now, they're obviously not playing. Everyone that's here at practice right now is planning on playing. And so there's a couple guys out here maybe that have said they've intended to enter the portal or something. That's their choice, right? I told everyone on the team in one of my first meetings was, hold off. The portal don't open up till January 2nd or whatever it is. There's no reason to try to draw attention to yourself or whatever that may be. So the message has been stick with your team. I did say if that's what you believe is best for you to put out your intent to enter the portal, then you can do that and you're allowed to play. But don't make this a selfish thing. Make this about this group finishing in the right direction.
Last one for me. How do you kind of find the balance between you're going to Iowa State in probably a couple weeks, I would imagine, trying to get ready for that, but also doing what you feel is best, for the team you have here at WSU?
yeah, there's responsibilities in both roles. Obviously, there's a lot of phone calls back and forth between myself and Coach Rogers, and trying to build relationships there. But the most important relationships until I do officially get there in a couple weeks is this team here, and continuing to build on those relationships and letting these guys know that I'm here for them, that we are here for them as a staff, and that we're going to get this win together, and I'll always be there for them. And hopefully, a lifelong friendships is what we've talked about all the time. So it's been fun. It's exciting.
Is Anthony planning to play in the bowl game?
Yes, he is.
Thanks, Coach.
You good?
Good to go.
Appreciate it.
Good.
Thanks,
Coach.
Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Jesse, yeah, of course.
Jersey change. Jersey spot.
How's it going?
Hello. How's it going, guys? You mind coming right up to the mic? This is my life.
Last couple of weeks.
Sir. I know, right? Alright. Everybody good?
Good.
Let's kick it off there. You just used the word sad. What's this like for you playing these practices?
Oh, I mean, it's a bittersweet feeling. Obviously, you want to live in the moment. You have to live in the moment in order for there to be success on what we're trying to achieve. But every now and then, as you're walking off the field, reflect a little bit. Know that it's slowly coming to an end. Just learn to appreciate all that you've been around, or all that I've been around and been able to be a part of. So, I'm sure emotions are going to be a little back and forth, but when we're on this practice field, you got to be sharp, got to be focused. We obviously have a job to do. So, yeah, a lot of emotions going to be come these next weeks, but try to control it.
This mid-December change has sort of become a routine for you. In fact, it might have been like this week last year you got
Right.
named the starter against Syracuse.
Right.
So being able to finish this thing off, what does that mean to you?
It means everything, for me and for my family. To be able to do what I set out to achieve over a year ago. It means a lot to me. Just everything that these guys have been through, to be able to finish on the right foot. I think we deserve it. I think these guys have worked for it. So that's just going to be our focus, is making sure that we're finishing the right way. I think that's the most important part.
Coach Bobbit sort of told us when he got the job, he said a few words, but then it was the seniors who really stood up and took a leadership role. Does it feel like there's been a little bit of a balance, players and coaches sort of working together to lead this team to the end here?
Yeah, I think you have to be, regardless of the situation or the circumstances, whether it's week one or getting to a bowl game or whatever the circumstances are as far as the coaching staff. There's got to be guys on the team that, have a voice and are leading the guys on the field. The coaches can only do so much once you're on the field. It's all the players, So I think that the guys have done a good job at speaking up, saying what needs to be said, and I'm sure there's going to, that's going to continue to go on for the next week, because that's what it takes to win football games, So the leadership's going to have to continue to be there from guys like myself and others, and we're going to do what we need to do to win.
Does the team have a reaction to Kirby Moore's hiring?
Yeah, everybody was pretty excited. Yeah, they had told us a little. I think it might have been Friday. We got the news, and a lot of guys were fired up. A lot of guys knew about him. I knew about him when I was in high school because he was at Fresno State. Obviously, I'm from Los Angeles, California, so was kind of interested in Fresno State. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good things to say about him and what he's accomplished over his career. So I think everybody's pretty fired up about him.
You put out a statement on social media just encouraging fans to be excited about this team. Why is that a message so important to you, and why do you think people really kind of rallied around that on social media?
Yeah, I mean, if you just, at least from when I've got here, a lot of, the Cougar, a lot of the history going back with the Cougars, as far as like when I've been here, is just kind of that underdog story. I feel like, unfortunately, there's just been certain things that have been thrown at us, that are unprompted, or you just really couldn't have predicted. But every single time, I feel like this community, this organization, the people around have found a way to stick together. I think that's what makes Cougar Nation so special and so different from everybody. That's why you go around the world and you hear "Go Cougs" no matter where you're at, because of the amount of adversity that this organization and people associated with have been through. And time again, we don't allow circumstances to define who we are as people or as community or as a brand. And I think this is just another way to show how special this organization, this college, this logo really is. It is very special. There's a very special bond that you really can't explain, you really can't put into words, but if you're a part of it, you know it. And I just wanted to advocate that to everybody around who believes in the Crimson and Gray. This is a hard time, and obviously we couldn't have predicted this, but we need you guys more now than ever. We've been here before. This isn't a surprise to us, so we know how to handle the situation. Let's handle it the right way. Let's go out on the right foot, and that was really just my message.
definitely seems like it was unpredictable or surprising, when the news broke about Rodgers leaving. How do you guys, kind of look past that and rally and prepare for the bowl game like you are right now?
Yeah, I think kind of like what I said when I first, walked up here, is just trying to stay in the present, moment. Obviously, there's a lot going on outside of where we are right now, but we have 7 days left, together, and I think that everybody has been through a ton, whether it's with football or just with their own personal life. I think that we owe it to each other and to ourselves for these last 7 days to just give everything that we have, and just leave it all out there, and at least be able to look in the mirror, that next day, Tuesday morning, and say, you know what, I gave it everything that I had, and I think that's the only thing that really matters. And life goes on after that. But as far as right now, we just want to live in the present moment. Try to do what we came here to do and finish the job right.
I know you never wanted to look too far ahead or too far behind, but you do have one more game in your college career left. Have you gotten a chance to kind of, reflect on what that means to you lately, or kind of where's your head at with that?
Utah State. Just focus on Utah State. That's where my head's at.
Okay. What do you know about Utah State? How do you kind of want to approach their defense?
Yeah, they do a bunch of different things as far as the back end. I think they got a strong D-line that they really trust. They do some different things with their fronts. So yeah, it'll be a good competition for us. You don't make a bowl game by luck. So they're a good team. They're a good football team that they deserve our best, and it's our job to practice out here with our best, make sure that we're playing to the best of our ability on Monday.
Anything else for Jeff?
Thank you, sir.
That's all. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you
very
guys. Thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. Hey, what did you think of that arm?
Big surf. Oh yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, he did.
Balance both of you.
Right. Yeah, no, he's kind of like going back and forth. I thought it was good. I thought it was nice. Yeah. Of course. Yeah, I appreciate it.
You had a lot of time to.
He did. But he made a good article.
You did.
So all credit to him, right?
Good.
Branding.
Isn't that baby?
You guys.
We'll let you know what's pretty fast.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
All right, anything else, guys? All right, thanks.
Yeah. That's crazy that he just said it. Again, Glen Iowa State.
See you tomorrow at 1.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Oh, he just.
I didn't realize he was. Yeah, I thought I read online he was co-DC.
Yeah, that's why I said that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's news.
Don't go there. No help needed.
He's listening, isn't he?
Well, I was thinking. So tomorrow, we're supposed to be outside
Outside.
at noon.
And then.
But it's supposed to also be, I saw gusty, like 25 to 30 mile an hour winds. So there's a chance, I won't know until tomorrow that it gets moved in.
Okay. Well,
If it was inside, it'd be in the media room? Downstairs?
No,
I think he's saying.
I'm saying in here.
Back here? Got it.
So, yeah, and we'll have coach, and there might be just one player, depends on how quickly, because they want all the kids up to the presser,
Yeah.
and they need to shower in. So.
I was gonna say, I think that's. Hopefully they're